Let me know when you're ready. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The mission of the Freehold Township School District is to honor and support every learner every day on the journey to become curious and engaged members of a diverse global community. A notice listing the time, date, and place of this meeting was posted on the public bulletin board of all Freehold Township schools, on the entrance door to the administrative offices of the Board of Education, on the district website, at the office of the Freehold Township Clerk, published in the Asbury Park Press, January 6th, 2023, and sent to the News Transcript, January 4th, 2023. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So put that on there. Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Brand,
Present.
Mrs. Coslino,
Here.
Mr. Gargiulo,
Here.
Mrs. O'Sullivan,
Present.
Mrs. Fellman, Mrs. Van Vitoli, Mr. Williams,
Here.
Mr. Amoroso,
Here.
Mrs. Lambert.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. I'd like a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from June 13th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Keep getting feedback, too.
It's because we have so many microphones.
I'd like a motion to approve the executive session meeting minutes from June 13th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Let me clarify, that's for executive session 1 meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 I'd like a motion to approve the executive session 2 meeting minutes from June 13th,
So
2023.
moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
President's remarks this evening. I want to thank those of you that are joining us this evening. I want to send out a heartfelt congratulations to our 8th grade graduates. Most of our board members attended a lot of events at the end of the school year, 5th grade moving up ceremonies, kindergarten programs, our ECLC moving up ceremonies as the little ECLC children go into our elementary schools. And we got to see our 8th grade graduates move on. They'll all be moving on to high school. The one thing I can say that I reflect on when we are sitting in the middle of 8th grade graduation is that I'm always proud of the job that our district does in readying our students for high school. They are typically ready, they're excited, they're more than academically, they're socially excited and socially mature to handle what high school has to offer. We see a tremendous amount of growth between 6th and 8th grade in the middle schools, and our teachers and our staff and all those buildings and across the district do a great job getting our students where they need to be. So congratulations to our 8th graders and every single staff person and employee in the district who got them and gave them their wings. This is a public service announcement for any of our staff who might be listening or listening at home. You've all received emails from Mr. DeVita regarding CUSAC review, all the requirements, everything that needs to be done in our buildings. We do very well with CUSAC because we run a nice tight ship here, but be mindful of the emails, your rules, your regulations. Just a public service reminder. Hello.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Lot of traffic.
And with that, I want to wish everybody a happy summer. Good luck in our ESY, or Extended School Year program. And we will move on to the board administrator certification.
Good evening. I have no prepared statements. I do want to ask the board if you're going to the school board conference in October. I sent an email out yesterday. Please look at it. The rules have changed a little bit for how and where we could stay at hotels in the past. Every hotel is considered part of the conference, not so much anymore. So you guys could all choose where you want to stay. If you're above what the cap is for Atlantic City, and in fact, they removed AC from a list of cities in New Jersey that was on the GSA website, which I don't know why. So it's at the standard cap. So anything above, I think it's $98, and I'm not considering fees. You'd have to pay for yourself, and that's all we can legally reimburse you, unless you stay at the one hotel that is on the list that's below. I think there's one or two. So take a look at the email and let me know, or actually let Allie McKee know.
Okay.
So that's my public service announcement.
So in other words, book your own hotel is what you're trying to
So what I'm
say,
saying
Bob.
is, book what you want, and there are, the rates are on the sheet that I sent out. So if the board wants to stay at Ocean, Borgata, wherever, just know that at one point that's what the board can pay for, and then the rest is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's changed. That's all I have for that. I will do my certification now. I, Robert DeVita, the school business administrator, board secretary, certifies that as of May 31st, 2023, no line item has been overexpended in violation of NJAC 6A 23-16.10C3, and that sufficient funds are available to meet the district's financial obligations for the remainder of the fiscal year. My next thing is the bullying report for this, I believe, the last part of the year here. And for our meeting tonight, there were 5 reported cases of HIB, and all 5 were founded. And that's all I have for this evening.
Okay. Do you have to move the cumulative confirmed HIV incidents? Or is that information only?
I think that's information only.
Oh.
Hang on. Now, that's all wanted me to report out was it was for information only just the number of cases for the evening.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, with that, this is our first opportunity for public participation. If you would like to address the board on any item that we're voting on the agenda tonight, please step to the podium, write your name and address on the sign-in sheet, and state your name for the record. Statements are limited to 3 minutes and shouldn't be abusive, obscene, or defamatory in nature. Would anyone like to address the board? Okay. Moving right along to Personnel Committee, Ms. O'Sullivan.
Okay, we met as a committee yesterday. People that were in attendance were Dr. Brethauer, Mr. DeVita, Neil Gargiulio, Meg Thuman, and myself. We discussed all the items on the agenda. Now, I'd like to go to number 3 for retirements as listed. I would like to move the retirements as listed. Number 4, I'd like to move resignations as listed. New employment as listed. Number 6, leave of absence as listed. Number 7, change of assignments as listed. Number 8, change of assignment salary adjustments as listed. Number 9, unpaid days as listed. Number 10, district honoraria as listed. Number 11, district honoraria update as listed. Number 12, additional compensation as listed. Number 13, the curriculum committee as listed. Number 14, the curriculum committee update as listed. Number 15, rescind ESY employment as listed. 16, ESY staff as listed. 17, ESY volunteer as listed. 18, certified substitutes as listed. 19, non-certified substitutes as listed. 20, substitute rates for the 2023-2024 school year as listed. Administrative substitute rate of pay for the 2023-2024 school year as listed. And that's it.
Does anybody have any questions? Mary, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure you could hear me. Sure.
And I should have asked this in a personal meeting last night, but the administrative substitute rate of pay, that applies to like what level and above? Is that like,
We would have used it this year for the individual who worked as a substitute administrator for almost the entire year to cover long-term leave, and then we had a person who was also on leave and then retired. So I think Dr. Kosak worked in that capacity for the entire year. It's typically when we have one of our administrators who are out on a long-term
Principal,
leave.
assistant principal.
Yeah,
like assistant?
we're typically looking for somebody who is doing evaluations and reviews of staff, because that's where we get caught up when we're down a person, that someone else has to pick up all, 25, 30
Yeah.
staff evaluations. So that's when we typically use that. In the past, I think when John left, or during a period of time or somebody worked with Tom Smith when we were looking for an assistant principal as well. And that was also to do some daily operations. So typically it's principal, assistant principal, that we need to backfill.
Yes, great.
Long-winded answer.
That's okay.
I have a question. I asked Eleanor, Chair, we're open with the, have we gotten anything on the class 3 postings yet? Have we heard anything back from the captain or?
I know they posted them. Diane's not
Yeah, no.
reported back out that they're hard jobs to fill.
Oh, I
So Diane has not indicated to me that they have a candidate.
Candidates, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, can I have a second? Roll call?
Mrs. Brand? Mrs. Coslino?
Yes.
Mr. Gargiulo?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Thoman?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Amoroso?
Yes.
Mrs. Lambert?
Yes, except I abstain on paragraph 16, item number 8.
All right, motion carries.
Okay, Curriculum and Policy Committee. Are you moving that, Mike?
I can do it.
You can do it on the phone, Mary?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Wants me to.
All right, do you want to move it from the phone?
We can hear her.
Okay,
If you can hear me, if not, then Mike
Nope,
can.
that's fine.
But I will give it a shot. We did not meet this evening. I would like to move number 2, home instruction. Number 3, course reimbursement as listed. Number 4, the school security drill statement of assurance as listed.
okay. Any questions? Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, Finance, Facilities, and Transportation. Ms. Brand?
So we had a meeting this evening. Present was myself, Michelle Lambert, and Robert DeVita. During the meeting, we discussed the athletic transportation plan that Neil mentioned at the last school board meeting to provide transportation for middle school athletics. We discussed health benefits, that at this time, this was the first year that our health benefit costs have exceeded the budget. The board has discussed this before, and we moved to the self-insurance model that was in place. We discussed lunch prices. The proposed lunch prices on the agenda showed an increase of 10 cents for breakfast and 25 cents for lunch. We discussed summer construction oversight, the schedule of HVAC work in the district this summer at 5 of our schools. All it needs to be completed by September 1st. We're looking to bring this Beazle in for up to 10 additional days this summer at a cost not to exceed $10,750. We discussed the facilities manager. The new facility manager of the agenda is on the agenda this evening. We discussed the wellness policy that has been done this year and will happen again next year. There are documents from the committee that need to be approved at the July meeting. These would be, the agenda items are as follows. I moved item 3, which I'd like to move the superintendent recommendation, acceptance of the Board Secretary's report for the month of May 2023 and the Treasurer's report for the month of May 2023. I'd like to move item 4, bills and claims. Thank you to Michelle Lambert for reviewing those bills. Total bills of $1,231,658.70. Payroll of $3,035,754.21 for a grand total of $4,267,412.91. I'd like to move item 5, travel and related expenses as listed. I'd like to move item 6, out-of-district contracts as listed. Item 7, tuition contract for received students as listed. 8, consultant as listed. Item 9, transfers as listed. Item 10, end-of-year transfers as listed. Item 11, transfer of current surplus to reserves as listed. Item 12, disposals as listed. Item 13, contract with IHA LLC as listed. Item 14, contract with Core BTS as listed. Item 15, contract with MAP Restaurant Supplies as listed. Item 16, contract with Hoover Truck Center as listed. Item 17, contract with Nielsen Ford as listed. Number 18, competitive contract, computerized adaptive standards-based assessment program as listed. Number 19, acceptance and approval for bid for automotive and robotic consumable kits 23-15 as listed. Item 20, approval of competitive contracts proposal for an online personalized learning platform 2023-2024 school year 24-7 as listed. Item 21, RFP for assistive technology suite services 24-08 as listed. Number 22, IDEA FY 2024 grant as listed. Number 23, ESEA FY 2024 grant as listed. Item 24, report of awarded contracts as listed.
Sorry.
Item 25, toilet room facilities as listed. Want some water?
We're gonna get it.
She's getting it.
Now he's gonna get her a bottle.
And some.
shut the mic.
Should I keep going?
Wait a
Keep
second.
going.
You know, let her get some water.
Getting water? Okay. Item 26, breakfast and lunch prices as listed. 27, NJSIG MOC SSIF indemnity and trust agreement as listed. 28, item 28, tax exempt lease purchases as listed. Item 29, task teams, ESER 2 funds as listed. And that was my line. 30, item 30, withdrawal from capital reserve account as listed. 31, professional service agreement as listed. And that was it.
Sorry. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay, so, 16 and 17, that's the, and the bus. Can you just explain to me again? I know I've probably asked you this already, but the three buses in the amount of $388,697.79, and the Ford F-250, right, 72,000. They're lease purchases, right? So is that the total amount of what those vehicles are worth, or is that what we're actually going to pay over the course of the lease, or both?
So what's going to happen is once we get our lease financing, and that'll happen sometime end of August, I believe on the first meeting in August, which is 15th or 16th, we will hopefully be awarding a bid to a bank to provide the financing, and then by the end of the month, I hope to close, and then I'll have the financing available to pay those companies for those vehicles.
But that the amounts here is the amount
That is
we'll
correct.
actually
Yes, correct.
And then at the end of their useful life, or when we can't use them anymore, do we sell them? And is there do we get like any kind of residual value back? And like the buses that are going out of commission, are we getting?
We sell them. It depends upon how much useful life is left. We'll get a couple $1,000s for lucky. Remember, once these buses are it's pushing out to 15 years now, schools can't use them anymore. So what you're getting church groups, you're getting private owners.
Sure.
I know people who will buy the vans and will convert them into like put a giant TV on it and they'll tailgate with it. So there's people that want them. They'll buy them and send them to other parts of South America, North America. We can't use them for schools anymore, so the value is not that
Is
much.
low. Okay, I just wondered how.
Yep, and they are depreciated over. It's 5 to 7 years. Whatever the depreciation schedule is for Gatsby is. So they're fully expensed at that point in time. And as long as we don't have a lemon in the issue, that we've only once sold a series of buses that weren't at the end of their useful life, and we were having a lot of problems. And this goes back prior to you being on the board with Mrs. Sullivan. So, but typically we hold them to the end of their useful life. We're fortunate we've got good mechanics.
Yeah.
And but we will sell them when they're done. So I think at some point in time, Mrs. Williams will give me a motion to put on to sell 3 more. Actually, we're going to sell more. The next finance meeting, we have a lot of spares and more than what we need. So I'm going to work with the finance committee the next time, and we might have more than just those 3.
And then it looks like on item number 28, those are tax exempt. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
So we don't have to pay any.
We never pay any taxes. It's just have a. It's
Okay, I just.
Yep.
Yep. And then my other question was, Mrs. Brown brought up the athletic busing situation. Is there anything that you can share with
Sure.
us? Is there anything new?
So what we're looking to do for next year is that in the fall, the soccer teams, both boys and girls at both middle schools, need to be transported to practice on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And then in the spring, only Barcelo needs transportation for baseball and softball. Eisenhower has enough facilities on site to accommodate both teams. So what we're looking to do in the fall is possibly have the students participating in those sports get out 5 minutes early, go to their locker, get changed, have a bus because they're first tier to go home. Have a bus waiting that's going to shuttle those teams over to the field that they practice at. Barcelo for soccer will start to use West Freehold.
Okay.
We'll have access to that space before we usually rent it out to Battle of Monmouth uses it usually around 5 o'clock and later. So they'll practice over there. The bus will come back. The one at Eisenhower goes to Opatut, comes back. We'll then get the kids, take them home, do all their runs. And so that's been one of the biggest problems. There's been no transportation to practices. So what I share with the finance committee is we have to be aware of there could be days where those buses performing the shuttles might be a little bit late with their tiers. So as long as the board's willing to allow for some potential lateness on tiers 2 and 3, could be 5 minutes, could be 10 minutes, might be 15, depending upon what happens that day. It's a plan that we're looking.
Only? Okay.
Well, no,
Oh,
this
tiers
is
2 and
tier
3.
1, so this would impact whatever other tiers that vehicle and that driver go to.
Okay.
So, but that
4, I think it's 4. The elementary buildings are tier 2.
yep, elementary is tier 2 and tier 3, and then ECLC is tier 3.5. But those buses will not impact the ECLC. We only send vans over to ECLC.
That sounds like a great solution.
So I'm hoping to have more information by the July meeting. Ms. Costelletto will have the run's almost ready to go. She has to have them early in August for the drivers in attendance to pick.
Yep.
So if she sees anything, she's on vacation this week. Next week at some point in time, I plan to sit with her and we're going to take a look at staffing and see where she's at. And hopefully this year we had one permanent sub for a short period of time. Unfortunately, because I meant to say this before in the beginning, the passing of one of our drivers, Bill Anderson, last week. And we feel for his family and all the staff down there. One of those subs will now become a permanent driver. So we're still scrambling for people. And what I share with the committee too is what's happening is there are people out there who have CDLs who will call Angie up and say, I want to work for you, but I'm only coming to work for you if I get 6 hours guaranteed, I get benefits on day one, and X and X and X. And the problem is because we have a contract and there's seniority in there, that the run available might only be 5 hours. And listen, if you take the 5-hour run, you're still going to get benefits, but it's not 6. So nope, I want 6. If I don't get 6, I'm not staying. And so
It looks like the situation has improved from where we were last fall.
a little bit. We had days this year with people being sick or having appointments or just taking personal days, and it was minimized because of what we did, the sidebar agreement that we have. There were still a number of days, less than last year, less than earlier in the fall, where Angie, Marie, and Angela were all driving, and we were doubling up runs. So it still happens, but it did not happen as often. Hopefully the bill that we discussed in finance and at the board meeting, and we actually sent the resolution to the governor's office and to the assembly and to the Senate regarding allowing drivers to drive the caravans and not have a CDL. There's a large number of people who have CDLs that are driving those types of vehicles today, that if the law passes by June 30th and those people start to trickle in and now start to drive big buses versus driving a Dodge Caravan, it might start to alleviate some of the problem.
Right.
Or even vans. So it's not going to happen overnight. It'll probably be a slow trickle. But even then, we'd have the opportunity, if the budget allowed for it, to start to buy some smaller vehicles in which people will still need their S endorsement, but they would not require a CDL.
So will we have to vote on this athletic bus situation? Is that it's gonna so
It's conversation.
okay. So
It's just what we're going to try to put in practice.
okay.
But the big thing to take away is that just know there may be some runs
Okay.
once a week, twice a week, I'm not sure. They may run a little bit later than what they're anticipated to do. So Angie will have the ability to maybe lighten the load of who they pick up, and this way minimize any kind of, it depends upon where we are for student enrollment and what the runs look like come September 1. But we're working on it.
Great. Thank you.
And again, if anyone has a CDL that wants to come work,
Yes, please. Any CDL.
yep.
Any class 3 officer?
Even if you only want to substitute between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock every day, or and help us out, that'd be great. Any other questions?
All right, can I have a second?
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. Motion carries.
Yep.
Sorry, I have allergies and something is really triggering me. I don't know what it is. So I apologize. Okay. Old business and new business. A retreat.
Every year.
I know, every year.
That'd be good.
What?
We could talk construction.
Yes, we need to set an evening for retreat. While July and August are hard because of vacations, it's also a better time to do it because people typically have less school-age obligations with their children, and we have less board meetings. I am so sorry. So, what?
Take your time. Okay.
I don't have my inhalers. So we need to think about dates. So if you can all send me dates that you're away, so we know what days are off the table, and I could get from administration days that work for them, that would be very helpful. I apologize. I am going to ask you all to check your emails regularly over the next couple of weeks because there were some things that Neil and I spoke about, possibly moving policy back to personnel where it always had been. He had moved it to curriculum when he was running both meetings because he's in charge of policy. And now that we have an assistant superintendent in charge of curriculum, he may move policy back with him where it was. He said he wouldn't make any changes till July 1, and he's away this week, so I have to follow up with him on that. So just keep checking your email because there might be some beginning of July changes for the, as you know, the next school year in the district is July 1 to June 30th.
Right.
So changes would take effect July 1.
I just went into my email to email you my availability, and I noticed that we all just got
I'm so sorry.
that. Okay.
Please.
It's an email from Senator Gopal. It says, I am happy to say that I've secured a one-time $200,000 state grant in the New Jersey state budget to support the Freehold Township Board of Education. I know your team will put those funds to good use. The full legislature will vote to approve these funds this Friday. Afterwards, my office will be in touch with you on how to access the funds. Thank you, Vin Gopal. That's
Thank
nice.
you.
Went to all of that.
Yes.
It's nice.
Are those the funds that he spoke about when you and Neil met with
Yes.
him?
That was it.
Yes.
I believe we gave him was
Oh,
for
okay,
technology
there you go.
security
Right.
kind of thing.
Yes. All right. Bob and Neil met with the offices, and so that's good to know
Back
that.
in April, early May.
Yes. Okay. Great. Thank you. We'll take anything. Yeah.
Perfect timing, right during new business.
So
Christmas in July.
Christmas in July. So I mentioned the retreat. I mentioned possible shifting of where policy is going, which Neil had mentioned, July 1. I will meet with him by the end of this week to conclude his performance evaluation. So I'll probably confirm with him then. After that, like our next regular board meeting is not till the end of July, right?
Correct.
So if we can get an agenda on for a retreat at any point, July or August, that would be really great. We can do that. Any other?
Michelle?
Yes?
Do you anticipate switching up committee assignments in July as well?
No, it just curriculum would stay with with Becky, but policy always stayed with Neil. And he was the one who was talking about, we spoke about it, to be fair, 2 months ago. So he said he he was thinking about putting it back in personnel where, it always was until the last 2 years, 2 or 3 years. And if he did it, he would do it July 1. So I have to follow up with him on that to see where he stands. Has he mentioned it to you? Oh,
He also has, just so you know, and this is something I was going to raise as far as policy is concerned. We're really not in compliance with our policy, if that makes any sense. Our committees don't line up name-wise, so we may want to try to do that as well.
okay. Policy compliance. Okay.
So when you talk to him, that might be something you might want to mention.
Okay. Do you want to be more specific, or do you want me to just?
I don't remember. I remember looking at it, and I remember the names not matching what our committees are actually.
Oh,
the way our
there's a
committees are
typo on the
broken up.
agenda?
What?
You're saying there's a typo on the agenda for who's on the committee?
No. I'm saying that if you look at
Oh, the way we-
committees we have
Okay.
set up, they're not matching our policy on committees.
I got you. Okay. I capiche.
Okay. Because policy probably was still with personnel.
I think there were a couple name changes that were different.
Right, yeah, we probably changed things through the years and didn't
Didn't
actually,
update it.
right, change the policy to go with it. So I guess we can do that.
That's easy.
Yeah, that's easy. Um, I also wanted to mention, which Bob mentioned earlier, that this board extends its heartfelt condolences to the family of Bill Anderson. Bill was a bus driver who worked for the district for 7 years, who passed away. His funeral was last week, so we want to express our condolences to his family, friends, and the staff that he worked with on a regular basis. It's always sad. Also, I wanted to bring up that in our second opportunity, I did receive an email from somebody concerned because they had received an email about proposed legislation affecting the Open Public Records Act. So we, as a board, are not making any statement on the proposed legislation at this time. So I received a request from somebody who wanted to know where this board stood on that. It's a collection of 4 bills. It's still sitting in the assembly. It's going to the committee. It's a little premature for that. So as we stand, as a collective group of board members haven't even discussed it. So, which we can do that in retreat as well. The other thing I wanted to bring up was the the community roundtables. Did we want to schedule one over the summer, and what did we think was an appropriate topic? We don't have to answer it here, but we should communicate with each other. Yeah.
Actually, that came up at our last committee, and obviously Mary can jump in too. We talked about doing a roundtable over the new report cards that will be coming out and trying to discuss, make that a little bit more easier for the parents to navigate. Right, Mayor?
Yes, that is correct.
There you go.
Okay. Okay. And if there's any
So
other,
I know that's one that was discussed,
okay.
or at least in our committee.
Okay. So if there's any other, very specific topics, we could add those on as well.
Interesting to
I
do-
will say, Michelle, over the summer, it's really hard to get parents.
Okay, that's fair. So maybe we'll
What did you
we'll
wanna
put it
do,
on
Joe?
for September.
It'd be better off probably once you're back in the school year and you're getting closer to report
Yeah.
card time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
it might also be worthwhile if we're going to be doing report cards, because I think you could probably cover that pretty quickly. But if we were just talking about how we measure, performance or measure student success in general, because I think that we've worked really hard to up the way that we measure our data, and that would be a very useful thing, I think, for parents to understand. And there's, all kinds of assessments and what do they mean, and,
Mm-hmm.
took me forever. In fact, I'm still not 100% sure I understand the math and how that scales. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We could talk about that as well. I think that's probably very helpful.
We're still working on that in committee, and I guess that input would be useful to create whatever is being discussed,
Okay. So when you think that's ready,
I think earlier, maybe early September.
early September. Okay, so we'll shoot for early September. Okay, with that, does anybody else have any questions or input for old business, new business?
Nope.
Okay. So this would be the second opportunity for public participation. If anyone wishes to address the board on any matter, please write your name and address on the sign-in sheet. State your name for the record. Statements are limited to 3 minutes and should not be abusive, obscene, or defamatory in nature. Would anyone like to address the board? Thunder? What else is new? Right. Okay, seeing no takers, I want to thank everybody for coming out and joining us this evening. And with that, I'd like a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Meeting adjourned.